I need to tell someone about this. I've been keeping it to myself for weeks now, and honestly, I think that's making it worse. So here it is. About 2 months ago, I moved into a small rental house on the edge of town. Nothing fancy, just a 2-bedroom place with a decent yard and neighbors I never really saw. I work from home doing graphic design, so privacy was actually a selling point. The landlord was this older guy, maybe late 50s, with gray hair swept back and a kind smile. He wore khakis and a tucked-in polo shirt, very put together. During the walkthrough, he pointed out everything carefully, how the thermostat worked, where the breaker box was, which window stuck in the summer. He seemed helpful. Maybe too helpful, but I didn't think about it then. The first week was fine. I set up my desk in the spare bedroom. Ungi, some art, unpacked boxers. Normal stuff. I'd hear the house settle at night, creaking floorboards, the furnace kicking on. Old house sounds. I'm not someone who scares easily, so I just put in earbuds and work late. But then small things started feeling off. I'd leave a coffee mug on the kitchen counter before going to bed, and in the morning it would be in the sink. I'd think, did I put that there? But I couldn't remember. One time I found the bathroom light on when I was sure I'd turned it off. Little things, explainable things. I told myself I was just tired, adjusting to a new space. Maybe a little stressed from work deadlines. Then I found the first note. It was on my desk one morning, tucked under my keyboard, a small yellow sticky note. The handwriting was neat, almost careful. It said, "You left the back door unlocked last night. Be more careful." I stared at it for a long time. My stomach dropped. I lived alone. No roommate. No girlfriend. No one had a key except me and the landlord. I checked the back door. It was locked. Now, I tried to remember the night before. Had I gone outside? Taken the trash out? I couldn't remember. Maybe I had left it unlocked. Maybe the landlord stopped by to check something and noticed. That made sense, right? I texted him. "Hey, did you stop by yesterday?" He replied within a minute. "No. Why?" I didn't respond. I tried to brush it off. I told myself I must have written the note myself in some sleep-deprived fog and forgotten about it. It sounds crazy, but people do weird things when they're tired. I didn't want to spiral over nothing, but the next week, it happened again. I came home from a rare grocery run, arms full of bags. When I walked into the kitchen, I froze. There was a glass of water on the table. I hadn't poured it. I'd been gone for maybe 40 minutes, and I lived alone. I set the bags down slowly, my heart pounding. I looked around. Everything else seemed normal. No broken windows, no open doors. I checked every room, every closet, even under the bed like some paranoid kid. Nothing. I dumped the water out and threw the glass in the sink harder than I meant to. It didn't break, but the sound echoed. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about that glass. About the note. I started wondering if my landlord had some clause in the lease about inspections I'd missed. I pulled up the lease on my laptop and read it 3 times. Nothing. No random entry allowed. He'd need to give notice. The next morning, I texted him again. "Have you been coming into the house?" This time, his reply took 5 minutes. "No. Is something wrong?" I didn't know how to answer that. What was I supposed to say? That I thought someone was sneaking into my house and leaving me water? That sounded insane. I started locking every door and window before bed. I even bought a deadbolt for my bedroom door and installed it myself with a drill. I borrowed from a neighbor ID, barely spoken to, a middle-aged woman with short blonde hair and a cautious smile. She asked if everything was okay. I said yes. For a few days, nothing happened. I started to relax. Started to think maybe I'd been paranoid. Maybe the glass had been from the night before and I'd just forgotten. Maybe the note really was mine. Then I found the second note. This one was on my pillow. "You should close your curtains at night." I didn't sleep in my bed that night. I dragged a chair into the corner of my bedroom, locked the deadbolt, and sat there with a kitchen knife on my lap until the sun came up. My hands were shaking. My mouth was dry. Someone had been in my house, in my bedroom while I was there. I called the landlord. Nate? Text. Called. picked up on the second ring. "Hey, listen," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I need to know if you've been coming into the house. I'm not mad. I just need to know." There was a pause. Then he said, "I told you I haven't. What's going on?" I told him about the notes, the glass, the feeling that something was wrong. He listened quietly. When I finished, he said, "Do you want me to come over? Check the locks. Maybe change them?" I said yes. He showed up an hour later in the same kind of outfit. Khakis, a tucked-in shirt. This time, light blue. He brought a toolbox and walked around the house with me, checking windows, testing locks. Everything seemed fine, secure. "I don't see any signs of forced entry," he said. He had this calm, even tone. It should have been reassuring, but something about it felt off, like he was trying too hard to seem helpful. "Could someone else have a key?" I asked. He frowned. "I only made 2. One for you, one for me. I keep mine on my personal keyring." He pulled it out and showed me whose 2 keys. "House and mailbox." I nodded. I didn't know what else to say. He offered to install a camera system, said he'd cover the cost. I almost said yes, but something stopped me. Maybe it was the way he looked at me when he said it, like he was studying my reaction. After he left, I searched my house again. This time I checked places I hadn't thought of before. Air vents, behind furniture. I found nothing. That night, I barely slept. Every sound made me flinch. I kept my phone next to me, ready to call 911. But nothing happened. The next day, I went to a hardware store and bought my own camera, a small wireless one. I set it up in the hallway facing my bedroom door. If someone was coming in, I was going to catch them. Ever get that feeling you're being watched? I used to laugh it off, but not anymore. It all started a few months ago. I'd come home from work and find things just slightly out of place. A book I left on the coffee table was now on the bookshelf. The thermostat would be a degree or 2 higher than I left it. I chalked it up to being forgetful, just tired after a long day. But then, things got weirder. One morning, I found a muddy footprint on my kitchen floor. I don't own muddy shoes, and it hadn't rained in a week. My heart started pounding. Was I going crazy? I told my friends, and they thought I was overreacting. Maybe, primera. Why? Yes, but that nagging feeling wouldn't go away. I decided I needed proof, one way or another. So, I bought a small, discreet security camera and set it up in my living room, pointing towards the front door. I went to bed that night feeling a mix of anxiety and anticipation. The next morning, I couldn't wait to check the footage. I grabbed my coffee, sat down, and hit play. My blood ran cold. The video showed my front door slowly creaking open around 2 a.m. And guess who walked in? My landlord. He didn't steal anything. He just walked around. He looked at my photos, sat on my couch, and even opened my fridge. He was in my apartment for almost 10 minutes before quietly letting himself out. I was completely stunned and terrified. My own home, my safe space, had been invaded. I immediately saved the video file, packed a bag, and went to a friend's place. The first thing I did was call the police and show them the footage. They took it very seriously. I also contacted a lawyer to figure out how to break my lease and what legal action I could take. It's been a nightmare, but getting that camera was the best decision I ever made. It proved I wasn't crazy and gave me the evidence I needed to protect myself. So, if you ever feel like something is off in your own home, trust your gut. You never know what you might find. Thanks for watching. I changed the locks myself. Didn't tell the landlord. I figured if he tried to get in and couldn't, that was his problem. I also installed 2 more camera swan in the living room, 1 in the kitchen. I kept the one in the hallway. For a week, nothing happened. No notes, no moved objects, no footage of anyone coming in. I started to feel like maybe it was over, like he'd realized I knew and backed off. I even started sleeping in my bed again, though I kept the deadbolt locked and a baseball bat next to the nightstand. Then I got a text. Unknown number, no caller ID. You changed the locks. I stared at my phone, my stomach twisted. I didn't respond. I blocked the number. 2 hours later, another text. Different number. I just wanted to make sure you were safe. I blocked that one too. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I didn't answer, it rang again and again, 5 times in a row. I turned my phone off. That night, I heard footsteps outside my bedroom window. Slow, deliberate. I grabbed the bat and stood in the corner, barely breathing. The footsteps stopped. Then I heard tapping on the glass. 3 taps. A pause. 3 more. I didn't move. Didn't turn on the light. I just stood there, gripping the bat, waiting. After what felt like hours, the footsteps walked away. In the morning, I checked the cameras. Nothing. No one on the footage. But I know what I heard. I called the locksmith and had them install deadbolts on every window. I bought blackout curtains. I stopped going outside unless I absolutely had to. I was living like a prisoner in my own house. I started researching tenant laws. I found out that what he was doing, entering without notice, without permission, was illegal. I could break the lease. I could sue him, but I needed proof. More proof than just a video and some texts. I contacted a lawyer. She was in her 40s, sharp-looking, with short graying hair and glasses. She listened to everything, took notes, and told me I had a case. But she also warned me cases like this take time, months, sometimes, and in the meantime, I'd still be living there. I couldn't stay. I couldn't keep living like that. I started packing. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't give notice. I just packed my things, box by box, and planned to leave in the middle of the night. But before I could, I found something. I was cleaning out the closet in the spare bedroom, the one I used as an office, and I noticed a small gap in the back wall. The drywall didn't sit flush. I pressed on it, and a section came loose. Behind it was a hole, big enough to fit a person, and inside the hole, I found a box. It was a shoebox, old and worn. Inside were photos, dozens of them. Photos of me sleeping, me working at my desk, me in the shower, though the angle was from above, through a vent or a crack I'd never noticed. Me cooking dinner, me sitting on the couch watching TV. Some of the photos were dated. They went back weeks. Before I found the first note, before I even suspected anything. He'd been watching me the whole time. At the bottom of the box was a journal. Handwritten. Neat, careful handwriting. The same as the notes. I only read the first few pages before I had to stop. He wrote about me like he knew me. Like we were close. He described my routines, my habits, what I ate, what he wore, how I looked when I was sleeping. He called me by a different name. A woman's name. Someone I didn't know. I think he thought I was someone else. After finding that box, I sat in my car outside a 24-hour diner for 3 hours. Just sat there, the box on the passenger seat, my hands on the steering wheel. I couldn't make myself drive to the police yet. I needed to understand first. I opened the journal again. This time I forced myself to read more. He wrote about Sarah. That was the name he used. He described her morning routine down to the minute, how she took her coffee, what brand of shampoo she used. He knew because he'd gone through her trash. He'd taken items, a hair tie, a receipt, a pen. He got them gifts she'd left for him. The entries got darker. He wrote about how Sarah was meant for him, how she just didn't know it yet, how he was protecting her by watching over her at night, how he'd keep her safe from other men. One entry from 3 years ago made my blood run cold. Sarah tried to leave today. Packed her things. Called someone. I couldn't let her go. Not yet. Not when she's so close to understanding. I took her car keys while she was sleeping. She'll realize she needs me when she can't leave. The next entry was 2 weeks later. Sarah screamed at me today. Said terrible things. Hurtful things. She doesn't mean them. She's confused. Scared. I understand. I've always understood her better than she understands herself. Then nothing for 6 months. Then, one final entry. Sarah left anyway. I have a new address. She thinks she's free. She'll learn. That was the last page. The rest were blank. I took photos of every page with my phone, backed them up to 3 different cloud services. Then I drove to the police station, but something he wrote kept circling in my head. I have her new address. Sarah moved out of state. He found her anyway. I realized right then he was never going to stop. I shoved everything back into the box and took it with me. I didn't pack another thing. I just grabbed my keys, my phone, and the box, and I left. I drove to the police station. I walked in and put the box on the counter and told them everything. The officer at the desk, a younger guy with buzzed hair and a serious expression, listened and called a detective. The detective was older, maybe in his 50s, with gray stubble and tired eyes. He looked through the photos, flipped through the journal, and his face got harder with every page. "Do you know where he is right now?" he asked. I said no. They sent officers to his address. I gave them the lease paperwork with his contact info. They told me to wait. I sat in that station for 3 hours. I couldn't stop shaking. I kept thinking about those photos. About him standing outside my bedroom door. About the note on my pillow. Finally, the detective came back. "We picked him up," he said. "He's being held for questioning." I felt a tiny bit of relief. Tiny. But it didn't last. "There's something else," the detective said. He sat down across from me. The woman's name in the journal. We ran it. She used to live in that house, about 4 years ago. "Used to," I said. He nodded. "She filed a restraining order against him. Said he was stalking her. Entering her home. She broke the lease and moved out of state." "Did he stop?" "Primera?" asked it. The detective didn't answer right away. Then he said, "We don't know." She stopped responding to follow-ups. We lost contact with her. My stomach dropped. "Do you think?" "We're looking into it," he said. "But right now, you're safe." "He's in custody. We're filing charges." I nodded, but I didn't feel safe. The night after they arrested him the first time, I couldn't stay at the motel. I felt exposed, like he knew where I was. Like he was always going to know. I drove to my friend Mike's place there, one who'd come to the house with me. He lived 40 minutes away in a house he shared with his girlfriend, both in their late 20s. She was a nurse with kind eyes and dark curly hair, pulled back in a ponytail. They set me up on their couch without asking questions. That night, Mike's girlfriend, her name was John, sat with me in their kitchen while Mike was in the shower. She made tea. Put the cup in my hands. "Can I tell you something?" she said. I nodded. When I was in college, I had a professor who did something similar. Not as bad as what you're going through, but he found out where I lived. Started showing up, leaving notes on my car. Primera reported it, and you know what the school did? I shook my head. Nothing. Said there wasn't enough evidence. Said he was just being friendly. It wasn't until he broke into my dorm room that they finally did something. She wrapped her hands around her own cup. What I'm saying is you did the right thing. You got out. You got proof. You didn't wait for it to get worse. It's already worse, I said. There's a woman missing. I know, she said quietly, but you're not missing. You're here. I stayed with him for 5 days. On the 3rd day, the victim advocate called again. She said he'd been released on bail. She said I should prepare for the possibility that I might see him, that he might try to contact me. What do you mean might? Primera? Sa? It. There's a restraining order. Restraining orders are just paper, she said. They don't stop someone who doesn't care about consequences. That night, I bought a burner phone, gave the number only to Mike, Jen, the detective, and the victim advocate. I turned off my regular phone and removed the SIM card. I thought I was being paranoid. 2 days later, Mike checked my old apartment. One I'd abandoned. Someone had broken in, smashed the lock, tossed the place, torn apart furniture, spray painted a message on the bedroom wall. come home. They released him 2 days later. Bail. I found out through a victim. Advocate who called me a woman with a kind but tired voice. She said I should stay somewhere else, that I should consider a restraining order. I was already gone. I'd checked into a long-term motel under a friend's name and paid in cash. I didn't go back to the house. I didn't even go back for my things. A week later, I got a call from the detective. They'd searched the landlord's home. They found more photos, not just of me, of other women, other tenants, some going back years. They also found a key collection, over 30 keys, labeled with addresses. He'd been doing this for a long time. They arrested him again. This time, the charges were serious. Breaking and entering, stalking, invasion of privacy, possibly more depending on what else they found. The detective told me I'd probably have to testify. I said I would, but then he told me something else. We're still trying to locate the woman from 4 years ago, he said. The one he wrote about in the journal. Her family reported her missing about 2 years ago. I felt cold all over. Do you think he? We don't know, the detective said, but we're investigating. I couldn't speak. I just sat there, phone pressed to my ear, trying to breathe. You did the right thing, he said. You got out. You reported it. You might have saved your own life. I hung up and cried for the first time since it all started. The detective showed me photos of what they found in the landlord's house. I wish he hadn't. There were cameras, small ones, the kind you hide in smoke detectors, phone chargers, picture frames, AID, docents, and hard drives. Terabytes of footage. We're going through it all, the detective said. It's going to take months, but we've already identified at least 8 other victims. Women who rented from him over the past decade. Did you contact them? I asked. We're trying. 3 of them moved out of the country. 2 changed their names. 1. He paused. 1 died 2 years ago. Car accident. Accident. He looked at me. Didn't say anything. Didn't have to. They also found a storage unit rented under a fake name. Inside were belongings. Women's belongings, clothes, jewelry, personal items. Things you wouldn't throw away. Things you'd notice were missing. Each item was labeled name, date, address. Sarah's name was on at least 40 items. A necklace, a sweater, a journal, her journal, a photo of her with her family, taken from a frame. The detective told me they'd contacted Sarah's family, showed them what they'd found. The family hadn't heard from Sarah in over 2 years. They'd filed a missing person report 18 months ago. Police had investigated but found nothing. Now, they knew why. We're bringing in cadaver dogs, the detective said. He owns 3 properties. Land outside the city. We're searching all of it. I felt sick. You think I think we need to prepare for that possibility, he said. I asked if I could see a photo of Sarah. He pulled one up on his phone. A driver's license photo from 4 years ago. She looked like me. Same hair color. Same build. Similar age. We could have been sisters. He has a type, the detective said quietly. I couldn't stop staring at her face. At her smile. She looked happy in the photo, completely unaware of what was coming. I wondered if she'd felt the same things I did. The same creeping dread. The same moments of doubt where she told herself she was overreacting. I wondered if she'd found notes too. I wondered if she'd gotten out in time. The trial took months. I testified. I told them everything. I showed them the video, the photos, the journal. Other women came forward too. Women who'd rented from him before. Women who'd felt, watched, who'd found things moved. Who'd heard footsteps at night but convinced themselves they were imagining it. He was found guilty. Sentenced to 15 years. The detective called me after the sentencing. He said they still hadn't found the woman from the journal. They'd searched properties he owned. Dug up sections of land. Nothing. We're not giving up, he said. I said I hoped they'd find her. Primera mea, ente italiano. But part of me knows they won't. They found her 3 months after the trial ended. The detective called me himself. Primera wa, ese at work. A new job, new city, trying to rebuild. I stepped outside to take the call. We found remains on one of his properties. He said, dental records confirmed it, Sarah. I couldn't speak. I'd known. Somewhere deep down, I'd known, but hearing it made it real. How long? I managed to say, coroner estimates about 2 years. Maybe longer? 2 years. She'd been missing for 2 years, and he'd just kept going. Kept renting out that house, kept watching new tenants, kept collecting photos and items and keys, kept pretending to be a normal landlord. They're adding murder charges, the detective said. Just screamed until my throat was raw. I thought about all the time I'd wasted doubting myself. All the moments I'd brushed off the signs because they seemed too small, too explainable. I thought about how close I'd come to being Sarah. That night, I got a message on Facebook from a woman I didn't know. Profile picture showed a woman in her 30s. Light brown skin, dark hair, warm smile. I saw your name in a news article about the trial. I think I was one of his tenants too. 5 years ago, I always felt like something was wrong, but I never reported it. I thought I was crazy. Thank you for being braver than I was. You saved lives. I stared at that message for a long time. Then, I responded. You weren't crazy, and I wasn't brave. I was just lucky. She replied immediately. No, you were strong, and you gave the rest of us permission to trust our instincts. Over the next few weeks, I got more messages. Different women. Different years. All with similar stories. Feeling watched. Finding things moved. Hearing footsteps. Convincing themselves it was nothing. One woman told me she'd found a camera hidden in her bathroom after she moved out. She'd thrown it away without reporting it. She said she regretted that every day. Another said she'd woken up once to find him standing in her bedroom doorway. He'd said he was checking the smoke detector. She moved out the next day. They all said the same thing. I thought I was overreacting. I don't live in that town anymore. I moved to states away. I found a new place. An apartment in a building with security cameras and a doorman. I check the locks 3 times before bed. I keep my curtains closed. I don't tell people where I live, unless I absolutely trust them. Sometimes I still wake up in the middle of the night, convinced someone's in my room. I lie there, frozen, just listening, waiting. But it's always nothing, just the hum of the AC. Just my own breathing. I think about that woman sometimes, the one from the journal. I wonder if she felt the same things I did, if she ignored the signs at first, if she thought she was overreacting. I wonder if she got out. I try not to think about it too much, but it's hard, because the truth is, I wasn't alone in my house, and I had proof. But even with proof, even with cameras and police reports and a conviction, I still don't feel safe. I don't think I ever will. If you're watching this and something feels off in your home, trust your gut. Don't brush it off. Don't wait for proof. Just hit out. Because by the time you have proof, it might already be too late. If you've ever felt this way or need someone to talk to, remember there are resources available. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is available 24/7. Your safety matters. Thanks for listening. A year after the trial, I got an email from a journalist. She was writing a book about the case and wanted to interview me. My first instinct was to say no. I had spent the last year trying so hard to move on, to put it all behind me and just forget. But then she sent me her research. It turned out she'd found 6 other victims, women who had never come forward. They had all rented from him before Sarah, before me. The journalists had meticulously tracked down property records, stretching back 15 years. He had been doing this for at least that long, maybe even longer. This story needs to be told, she wrote in her email. Not for sensationalism, but so other people can recognize the signs, so they know they're not crazy when something feels wrong. After reading that, I knew I had to agree to the interview. We met at a coffee shop in my new city. She was professional, but so warm, with glasses and a notebook crammed with detailed notes. She asked her questions carefully, never pushing me, and let me tell the story at my own pace. In my Yanwai, towards the end, she asked what I wanted people to know. I took a long moment to think. I want them to know that intuition isn't paranoia, I said. When something feels wrong, ito swaji, is on those small signs matter. A note, a moved object, that gut feeling. Those things aren't nothing, they're warnings. She wrote it all down, word for word, and I want people to know that if you report it and no one believes you, keep reporting. Keep documenting. Keep telling people, because eventually, someone will listen. And that might just save your life. The book came out 8 months later and became a bestseller for 6 weeks. Sarah's family was interviewed, and other victims finally came forward publicly. The impact was huge. Laws were changed. Landlord-tenant laws, stalking laws, even the requirements for background checks on property owners were updated. The journalist sent me a copy of the book with a personal note. You started this. You saved more lives than you'll ever know. I keep that book on my shelf, but I've never read it. I don't need to. I lived through it. But sometimes, when I start doubting myself, wondering if I overreacted or made too big a deal out of things, I just look at that book and I remember. I wasn't overreacting. I was surviving. 2 years after everything, I was finally starting to feel normal again. I'd been in therapy. I'd processed the trauma. I'd even started dating someone, a kind man who worked in tech, who understood when I needed space, who never pushed me to talk about what happened. We were looking at apartments together, planning a future. I thought I'd moved on. Then I got a letter. It came to my new address. No return address. Postmarked from a prison 3 states away. I knew who it was from before I opened it. My hands shook as I unfolded the paper. The handwriting was the same. Neat. Careful. The same as the notes he'd left in my house. I think about you often. I hope you're well. I hope you've forgiven me for the misunderstanding. I never meant to frighten you. I was only trying to help. To protect you, the way I tried to protect Sarah. She didn't understand either, but I know someday she would have. Just like I know someday you'll understand. I'm sorry we didn't get more time together. I see now that I moved too quickly, that I should have been more patient. If I ever get the chance again, I'll do better. I'll wait. I'll be exactly what you need. Until then, I think of you every day. You're safe now, and that's what matters. I made sure of that. No one else will ever hurt you, not while I'm watching. With all my love, I didn't read the signature. I called the detective immediately. He'd retired, but had given me his personal number. He told me to forward the letter to the prosecutor, but this was a violation, that it would be added to his file. Will it matter? I asked. He's already serving life. It matters because it shows he's not remorseful, the detective said. It means he'll never be eligible for parole, and it means if he ever tries to contact you again, we can add more charges. I sent the letter. Blocked his prison from sending me any more mail. Changed my mailing address again to a PO box, but the damage was done. He knew where I lived. Even from prison, even after everything, he was still watching. I started having nightmares again. Not about him breaking in, but about him getting out. In the dreams I'd be at home, my new home, my safe home, and I'd hear footsteps. I'd check the cameras. Nothing. But the footsteps would keep coming. Closer. Closer. Until I'd wake up gasping. My boyfriend, his name was Ethan. Tall and patient with light brown hair and worried eyes, suggested I talk to my therapist. Increase my sessions. Maybe try medication. I did. It helped. A little. But the fear didn't go away. It just changed shape. I started researching him obsessively, looking up his case. Reading court documents. Finding everything I could about his past. That's when I found the message boards. There were people online, mostly women who'd had experiences with him. Some who'd rented from him. Some who'd just met him casually. Neighbors. Co-workers from years ago, even people who'd gone to school with him. They all had stories. One woman said he'd followed her home from a grocery store once, 20 years ago, before he was a landlord. Said he'd shown up at her door the next day with flowers. Said when she rejected him, he'd slashed her tires. Another said he'd dated her sister briefly in college. Said he'd become obsessive within weeks. Showed up at her sister's dorm at all hours. Went through her things. When the sister broke up with him, he'd sent letters for years. Hundreds of them. The pattern went back decades. He'd been doing this his entire adult life. He'd just gotten better at hiding it. I created a spreadsheet. Documented every story. Every victim I could find. I sent it to the journalist. She added it to the second edition of her book. But it didn't make me feel better. It made me realize how many people had missed the signs. How many opportunities there had been to stop him. How many Sarahs there might have been before Sarah. Have you ever had that feeling where something just isn't right? That little voice in your head screaming at you to run? I have, and listening to it saved my life. Years ago, I was in a situation that felt off from the start. My gut was telling me to leave, but I tried to rationalize it, telling myself I was overreacting, but the feeling got stronger. A cold dread that I couldn't ignore. I finally listened and got out of there just in time. I later found out how truly dangerous it was. Fast forward a few years, and I saw someone else in a similar spot. I recognized that same look of unease in their eyes that I once had. I walked over and just quietly said, "If your gut is telling you to go, you should probably listen." They left, and later reached out to thank me, saying they felt something was very wrong too. Your intuition is one of your most powerful survival tools. It's that primal part of your brain flagging a threat before you can consciously process it. Don't dismiss it. Don't second guess it. If a person or a place makes your internal alarms go off, trust that feeling. It might just be the thing that keeps you safe. Thanks for listening, and remember to stay aware.